basically how do we make objects be light source, okay? And most likely you're going to be rendering in cycles if you want kind of like realistic equivalent to your photo, okay? So let's make this a room, so I'll simply just delete the front face here. Okay, so we have this. Okay, and then let's set up our camera here. So it's looking inside. All right, so something like that, and then I'll make the room. Okay, so we're kind of looking at objects right here, right? I'm going to go to EV, to the render one, okay? And the reason why you're seeing this kind of funky stuff right here is that, oops, sorry, just ruined my camera. All right, let me turn off that. Okay, because we're using this light source here. And if you look at the parameter shadow, contact shadow is not on. So you guys need to enable that contact shadow. Once you do that, it becomes a little bit more realistic. It still has issues because you gotta go draw distance and whatnot. You see it? Kind of. All right, so we're not using this light here, so we're gonna turn that off. Another thing we can do is, okay, let's create the light. So it's basically a cylinder, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll leave this at 32. 32 is fine. I need it sideways, so R, Y, 90. Okay, and I'm going to scale this and SX so that it's like a fluorescent tube or a LED tube. Okay, and again, we don't have any lights in here, so that's why. But the world is in what, like 70% gray, right? So it's actually a material. So you go to new. So instead of principal BSDF, you change this to emission. So emission is makes it like a light source right there. It's not quite working yet because it's kind of weak. Okay, let's make sure though that's all the way up. And you can put color if you want to. So strength, let's say 10. All right, so it's starting to glow. Let's go with, let's say, 50. All right. So again, remember, in EV, we get to check ambient occlusion, bloom, and subsurface, space screen reflection. There it is. All right. How do you control this? Well, it's this one right here. You can animate it. So let's say in the workplace, see if a nice marketing department is so you started the day great, and then your fluorescent, the one that makes you depressed. So you can animate this, pulsate, and then put the sound. The thing is with fluorescent light, it's actually not white. It has a greenish tint. That's why, not that green, but it has this kind of sickly color. So fluorescent light is the worst for people photography because that green is going to apply to their skin and they look, you have that sickly green tint. Okay? So anyway, then you can make this one disco, man. I mean, all right, and that's it. All right, so it's just the emission. All right, and then you can, of course, have a check this out. We've never done this before. UV sphere. I'm not saying we haven't done sphere. I'm talking about the material I'm about to do. All right, so instead of applying the emission on this one from the ground up, right? And you want the same emission. So instead of clicking new, there's this down arrow right here, which basically says material 1, because I didn't name it, and then you just applies it. So instead of going new, principal, emission, so on and so forth, you can just apply it there. Here's another thing we haven't done, okay? When you manipulate this, guess what happens to the other one? It's the same. What if you want the same intensity, you want a different color for this? Okay, so if you click that double page looking icon right here, when you click that, well, let's name this thing. Let's call this neon green. Okay, let's say that's the name of this material, right? When I click that copy right there, it makes a copy. Okay, then we're going to call this neon red. Since this is a copy now, I can change the color to red, and the other one will be kept. You see it? So, and then down here, they're both listed. So that's how you can clone a material without affecting the other one, because otherwise you'll never get separation. Okay? So there it is. So you're learning some disco stuff. All right, let's make it more disco. Let's get this wall and make it super shiny and make it like a plexiglass. All right, so now we're in Blade Runner, Beat Saber, yeah, what you know, your classic kind of Neo Tokyo. All right, so now you probably guessed it. You know how to make neon lights now. So this is how we make neon lights. We're gonna keep this background. It's probably too much here on the black. I'm gonna scale down a bit on this one. All right, I'm gonna go to solid mode, okay? So we can actually see what's happening. All right, and I'm gonna hide this camera for now. So, all right, so I'm gonna go to add curve, and then I'm gonna go with Bezier, okay? So there's a Bezier curve right here. You see it? Right there. Actually, let's make a path so it's flat. There it is. Okay, I'm just going to move this guy a little bit lower so we can see the path. Okay, there's the Norb's path. And it's just a straight line, basically. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's just a straight line. And I'm going to kind of scale it. All right, we can go to a wireframe mode here so you can see it. There it is. So I can go and manipulate the points. If you don't like this normal fish looking thing, it's the normals right here, uncheck. So go to your overlay, uncheck normals, okay? So I can go all right, and go E. So I'm just extruding, okay? Probably better ways to do this. I'm just extruding. Nothing fancy, just E. All right. That's my neon sign, okay? All right, we go here. And we go geometry, bevel. All right, we gave it some thickness. Let's take a look. Neon. All right, so now you apply neon red. Let's take a look. There it is. Isn't that cool? All right, so and then, but this thing is alive still. You don't need to convert it to polygon. You can, and you can make manipulation here. Look, it's still alive. And you can do a better job than I did with the with that one. What about, those parts that are, just like a neon sign. They're not continuous. You get another one. If you've seen those neon signs, and then they're actually extruding from the board, but they don't color the connection. You see it? It goes like this, and then the text is right here, but they have pins. I mean, the neon tubes actually connected to that one. They just don't color those connections. They make them clear so that you don't see it. Okay, so that's how you make neon stuff or make fluorescent glow and whatnot. And we're in EV. Remember, we're in EV. We can go to cycles. Okay, what is the difference? It's that bounce light. So keep in mind when you use emission as one of your light source, expect to kind of tone things down, okay? Or go to world setting and make sure this is black. So you don't get that extra bounce, okay? This is probably too much right now regarding its power. Okay, so we go to 2 right there, all right? But you lose that glow thing. So it's a delicate balance, okay? It's also the scene size is involved. There's just kind of factors that you need to, but it's realistic, folks. It's really trying to balance the stuff, right? So if I make this thing dull, the world, no shininess, it does affect it. You make it darker, it gets affected. All right, so just keep in mind, it's very realistic. It's what's reflective in the real world, what is absorbent in the real world. Kind of like they tell you, it's hot today, don't wear anything black. It works, you know. So it's how it is. All right.